I know what I'm doing, so I'm used to telling people what to do. What I've had to learn in real estate is patience is key.
Welcome, everyone, to the Closing Table Podcast, real accounts from real estate professionals brought to you by Windowsill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler, and today I'm sitting down with real estate agent Patrick Donovan. Patrick is with the Johnson Group out in Savannah, Georgia, and today we sit down and talk about his transition from the armed forces into beginning his career in real estate, how he uses his YouTube channel to educate his clients by making videos about the most commonly asked questions he gets. And then Patrick also shares some of his client successes and a wild story of a time when he bought a house before he was in real estate. You're going to want to listen. So without further ado, let's chat with Patrick. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's get us started with how you started in real estate.
Well, first I want to say thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be emailed by somebody and say, hey, you want to be on a podcast? Like, really? Why? I don't understand, but I love it. I really appreciate it. But the way I got into real estate was, I was in the military. Well, you probably don't know, but I was in the military for 20 years. Joined in 1997. Did all the Iraq, Afghanistan stuff. This is my second duty station from Alaska. I was stationed in Savannah in 2002. During all the ramp up for all the Iraq stuff. So I've been here for a really long time. And when I decided to retire, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I figured I'd do the same thing I was doing in the military, aviation, but I didn't really want to do that because aviation in and of itself, it's hard to describe to people. It's very inherently stressful. Like, when you work on a helicopter or, in our area would be Gulfstream, on those private jets that all the rich people, fly, there's an inherent nervousness that comes behind it because did I do everything correctly? Like, if I make a mistake and someone, crashes because of the mistake, you could be responsible for lives. And, that it's not just the worker that works on it. It's also the quality control person. If I became a quality control person and inspect the parts being put on the helicopter or the aircraft in this sense, and it crashes, there's just a lot of pressure on it. And I didn't want to get out of the military from one high pressure packed situation with all that stress involved, and then come into aviation and the civilian side and kind of deal with that same kind of stress. I wanted something totally different. So I thought I would go manage a Lowe's here in the local area. I applied for it. We got the interview, and it was an awful disaster. What I realized was I'd never done an interview before. You join the Army, they don't interview you. You know what I'm saying? You sign up and you're boom. So that was my first interview, and I was like, holy cow. So I got an email, through monster.com or something. Hey, we're doing this real estate seminar. Why don't you come and check us out? So I went. It was with Weichert Realtors in Savannah, Georgia. The broker's name was Melissa Stanford. Incredible broker. And, of course, she's a great salesperson. So she did her seminar telling us, how the real estate business works and how the kind of money you could make in real estate. Of course, no one comes to the real estate wanting to make $30,000 to $40,000 a year, and then they sell you that dream of being, mega wealthy. So, and not to say that she did that, I'm just saying, that's the what goes through your brain when someone gives you a seminar like that. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I bought houses before, and I've had bad transactions before. I think I could do it better, so that's really why I'm here.
Well, that's such a cool story, and thank you for your service. It's funny you mentioned, you hadn't had a job interview before. I think
No.
like that's such a unique experience, and it totally makes sense that you've kind of gone into this more entrepreneurial field. Especially you hear people who are members of the service, they end up making really great real estate agents.
Very organized, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm in the military area because this is where I was stationed. So I mean, it kind of naturally fit kind of better than I thought it would. Not to say that real estate's easy for anybody watching this thinking that, oh, real estate's easy. It's not. But it was a natural fit for me. So that's where I'm here.
Right, because it is so important to know your area, and especially if you are an agent and you're moving into a new area, like, you got to learn it fast.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So, like I said, I was here for, by the time I got out, 16 years in total already. So, I've lived here longer than I'd lived anywhere. So.
Nice. And so, when you're working with clients now, what is that initial meeting like for you? What are you asking your clients? What are you hoping they ask you?
Well, a lot of the times, I think, when I'm talking to clients on the phone, because that's typically initially the contact you make. Obviously I'm asking them if they understand the process, have they ever bought a home before, and if they haven't, what do you think about the market, and what do you understand? My YouTube channel, I kind of really based my YouTube channel, and I know we'll get into that more later on. I based it on questions that I heard a lot during those conversations when I first talked to people, and then when we go walking through homes together. Just, I think as a real estate agent, you forget what you know and what most people don't know. And a lot of times after my first conversation with people, I get all that, where are you looking? What is your price point? How much you think you can afford a month? Did you talk to a lender? I got great ones. Then I follow that up after we set the appointment to go look at homes. I'll send them, a how to buy a home video in the Savannah market. And this is how, if they're a VA borrower or FHA or whatever, I have videos on my channel that I send them. Hey, look, watch these videos. It'll kind of help you understand the terminology, because I think a lot of times the terminology can trip people up. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
So my goal is to educate, as a former NCO in the military, that's really was our job, is to teach people. So I kind of took that part of the military and brought it to real estate, and that's kind of how I approach real estate.
We can kind of dig into your YouTube now, because I love that you're not only using it as a tool to market yourself and put yourself out there, but there's an element of time saving to that too. It's here, I've made this video and now I can send it out to every person who's in this situation. And you have this content, and maybe for some people it's a PDF or whatever, but I think people love video. Videos are super digestible, and I think that's just a really great tool for your business.
Right, and it's funny how it started out was, I was doing, for out-of-town clients, I was doing video walkthroughs of homes. So they would send me a list of homes. Hey, can we see these? I'd walk through, and it's funny, I left a lot of those original videos on my YouTube channel so people could see the kind of progression. It was rough, but I was basically walking through the home, and kind of as time goes on, I kind of really, since October, I really kind of tried to make it more palatable than just walking through. I try to make it a little bit more fun. I'm trying to come up with ways to make it entertaining, but also you can see the home. And that's how it started. And then just, answering questions to people that had questions. So they'd ask me questions about the home I walked through, and I'd talk about the FHA, or if this house is in a USDA territory, what does that mean for you? And then I started thinking, well, if I'm going to do that on that part, why don't I just do videos, talking about that? And of course, that has been interesting, to say the least. So I'm trying to come up with topics. I mean, I think a lot of times trying to educate people, but I feel like the initial conversations, the initial questions I typically get has been run out. You know what I'm saying? And some I revisit frequently, but now trying to find content that is relevant to today's market with the high prices, especially in our area. The prices have gone up so much since I've been a real estate agent, and interest rates, and how to combat that. So that's where I've been kind of focusing on recently.
Totally. And just talking to different people, and then you hear different rumors in the news, things might be changing, there might be some drops in interest. Like we don't know, we don't have a crystal ball, but I think people are getting really kind of reinvigorated with real estate right now in it, whereas before maybe we were just kind of paddling along.
Well, I think, I think a lot of buyers kind of got used to the rates, but I think they're kind of pushing back on the price now, right? Because we had accelerated so fast, and especially in our area. I can speak confidently about that. I know across the country it's been the same, but in our area it's just so crazy. And I give you an example. In 2018, sold a house. That house was $179,000. That house now, and it's 2018 to now, would sell for $330 right now in the same exact neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath homes, $330. Like, it's shocking. That's, I think, the most shocking part for people. It's like, wait, what? You know what I'm saying? So, but, partnering with, the builders in the area and making sure I stay in connection with them, because a lot of times they do the interest rate buy downs for people to make housing affordable for more people. So that's kind of, my aim right now is just try to, hey, look, interest rates in this specific company, I don't want to put anybody's company out there, but it's 3.99. Let's try and get this one while you got the chance to do so. So, that's, I'm kind of trying to help people in that way as much as I can, because resale houses are resale houses, they are what they are, and sellers have the power, though I feel like some of it's tilting towards the buyers as the sellers are sitting on the market longer than they're used to in the past couple of years. So I feel the shift is starting to happen, and with interest rates coming down, I think we're going to have another resurgence here, probably the beginning of the year. We're going to have a big resurgence of home buyers coming back to the market.
Totally. I feel like I heard someone else say that today too.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Maybe it was you. Did you say it today?
Maybe. I don't know. I talk to a lot of people every day, so.
So kind of while we're on that vein, would you say like that is the biggest challenge you're seeing in the market right now, or is there maybe a different challenge you're facing, and how are you overcoming it?
I think the biggest challenge, not just in my market, but across the country, is that just wages have not kept up. I was getting my haircut for this interview, and I was talking to the lady, and she's just like, they're increasing my rent by $500. They've been in that house for 5 years, and now, understandably, from the the landlord's standpoint, you keeping your rent the same for 5 years is almost, I would say, egregious as far as bringing in money is concerned. But it's also shocking for someone that's living there with children, single, and then all of a sudden $500 increase. Now they have to leave. They don't really have a choice. And I'm seeing that the wages is just not keeping up with home prices, and now rent has just gone up commensurate with the home prices. And a lot of time, I think a lot of that has to do with the military around here. When you've got a military base, they have what is called basic housing allowance, right? And that raises to meet the environment. Well, every time it raises for the soldiers, then it raises the rents for everybody in the area, because that's the biggest renting block. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I think, the biggest crisis I see is that people don't make enough money to even rent anymore, and it's heartbreaking to me, because I'm like, I just wish I could help them in some kind of way. And in our area, we have a lot of first-time home buyer programs that give out home buying assistance, where you can, a lot of people paid all the down payments so buyers can get in. So I think that's the biggest challenge right now. It's just affordability, just across the board. Rent, inflation has gone up. I mean, I'm sure you're aware. So it's just, that's my biggest concern for people around this area. And I'm hoping the buyers, as they rebuff these prices, as it looks like they are, and more homes come to the market, and as that inventory grows because no one's selling because the prices are being rebuffed, that prices will come down. That's what I hope happens for buyers. Of course, sellers want to make as much money as they can, but I always try to inform sellers that when you're a seller, you're going to be a buyer. As soon as you sell the house, you're going to be affected by the buying part. So remember that. So that's what I'm seeing right now. Anyway.
Totally. And that's a good point. If you're a homeowner, you got to sell to buy, I guess, unless you're, just stacking them up.
Right. Which is not a large majority of people. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think, and we I'm one of the people, what I'm saying? I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, what I'm saying? I'm feeling the same pressures you are. My time in the military has given me some advantages over others, but, I had to do 20 years to get that. So, and most people don't have that ability or not physically able to do what I did. So, it's just hard right now,
For sure. For your clients, do you have any, client success stories that you'd like to share?
Well, I mean, I would say everybody that's in a home is a success story. You know what I'm saying? I think one of my favorite parts about living in this area and the people that I serve in this area is that I'm from Indiana. Where are you from?
Michigan.
Michigan. So we're close. Where parts in Michigan?
Well, I'm from here, more in the southeast. Yeah.
I am here in Indiana, South Bend, Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yeah, so close to where you are. And not to say that Northerners are rude. They're not. But Southerners are just super nice. I've met the greatest people here. They're just so amazing. And I think that's the part that makes my job easier here is because, they're very nice. My very first clients in 2018, listing their home, we still talk to this day. We talk to each other now and then. They refer people to me. I go meet up with them. But I think the biggest challenge I've had recently was, in our area, mobile homes, are becoming now the first-time home buyer's home because that's really all they can afford. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of restrictions with with mobile homes. So we, working through these the last people that I worked with that bought a mobile home, they had never bought a home before. You're talking about 50 years old, never owned a home before. Struggled their entire life working. Finally got a large windfall from a friend that passed away, unfortunately, but they left them some money, so they wanted to buy their first home. And even though it was challenging because of the mobile home component of it, ultimately, when I talked to them now, and this is about a month ago, they are excited to be in their first home, even such in middle parts of their life, but they never thought it was going to be possible, and now they're sitting in a home. And 2 acres, no less, so they can grow their vegetables and all that stuff and be self-sufficient if possible. So that was probably the most rewarding and really the most challenging one I've dealt with recently. But I think explaining the process to them really helped them get through the tough times of that transaction. They kind of understood what was going on, and that's kind of really. I don't ever want my clients to be surprised. If they're surprised about stuff, I didn't do my job correctly. Now, I can't do anything about the lending side. I can't do the numbers. I can prepare them as much as possible for that part. But when we talk and they're like, oh, I'm frustrated about this, I'm like, remember we talked about this? What are we going to do in this if this happens, and they explain to me the process. Okay, yeah, we're going to do this. I'm like, so we're in good shape. I try to make sure that I give them foresight of, okay, if this happens, then this is what we need to do next, because I want to make sure that they understand. We're never out of the woods. We can always get into the home. Just they might add this step or this step or this step. So I think education, like I said, once again, is my biggest goal. And I think on the last transaction, it really helped my buyers to understand where they're at. So.
Certainly. I was talking with a friend recently, and we were kind of talking about uncertainty and things like that. And she reminded me, at this point where we are in our careers, and just like you in your career, we're so well resourced that yes, there might be uncertainty, but I am so well resourced that I can figure it out, just like you, and just like you're reminding your clients, like, we're so well resourced. We know all the steps, and if there is a different step, we'll find a resource. And I think that's really kind of the gift you give people. You give them, well, knowledge, and you're helping them get their time back, because what you do takes so much time. I can't imagine trying to do it myself.
Well, in the background, there's a lot going on. I think it's a lot of times people don't understand. I'm in the background, making sure that, when I'm talking to a lender, like, trying to get on the same page, like, okay, look, when I talk to my clients, they didn't understand this part. I need you to make sure you focus on this portion right here, because this will alleviate the stress that they have on this part of the process. Or when I'm talking to the attorney, if there's something that is out of my scope, and I can get that explanation from great attorneys in our area, you're right. As far as resources go, I think we are well resourced and can offer that service to our clients.
Patrick, I know there are some myths you'd like to bust, because I know you've done some myth busting videos. So do you have
recently,
some? Yeah. Do you want to share some of that with our listeners here?
There are a ton of myths. I think my biggest actual frustration is we get labeled, not only us, but also lenders, as salespeople, which we are salespeople. In essence, that's what we are. But I think that label comes with a negative connotation. Like we're trying to get something from you. Saying like we're trying to take something from you or we have some kind of hidden agenda that's going on, right? I think that oftentimes that puts a distance between the real estate agent and the client, or the lender and the client, when there should be nothing but openness and transparency. Now, could it be because they had a bad experience in the past with another real estate agent or another lender, or maybe a car salesman or something like that? I totally understand that, because sales is my job. But also, I try to tell everybody, the more transparent you are with your lender or with your real estate agent, that opens doors. Because if I don't know all the factors involved in what you're looking to accomplish, your goals, your dreams, maybe this is your pit stop to the next house or whatever. If I don't know these things, I can't help you the best way possible. I think that I really wish that this message would get out. Please be forthright with your real estate agent. Please be forthright, especially with your lender, to tell them exactly what you want. They will work to get you there. I think a lot of times people hold back. I don't know, what is your sense for real estate agents at mortgage? I know you talk with a lot of people, but I mean, if before you did this, what was your experience with real estate agents?
Oh, I had like none. I don't think before I started doing this. I think it was just like, oh, they buy and sell houses. I actually, for a hot second, because I moved to Georgia from Michigan, and I had worked with a single family home builder while I was in college in Michigan. And so I was like in and around construction. I knew permitting and stuff like that. I was really good at the paperwork and lot lines and drawings and stuff like that. And I moved to Georgia and to work in film, but took a minute to get things going. I thought, maybe I become a real estate agent. And then I was like, no, it seems like a lot of work. But so, I had that background, but I had never tried to buy or sell a home, but I watched a lot of House Hunters. I don't know. I don't think I see what you're saying, where there is kind of this negative connotation of the salesperson and things like that. But I personally didn't have that. And now, since talking to so many people, and I absolutely love talking to agents, I really do think it should be rebranded as a hospitality industry or a service industry, because it is so much closer to that than sales.
No, not to say, I would just give you my impression at first. I was in the military, so of course I I'm trying to make sure I don't curse. Every time I bring up the military, for me, like military and cursing for me is just synonymous. So I'm trying to break that trend for myself. Um, but I was so like I'd come back from Iraq, saying I'd heard. I think I went to like this financial class or something in Iraq, and they're like, if you're renting, you're throwing your money away and all this stuff. So when I came back, I looked at my wife and said, "Hey, we're buying a house now." So I was just trying to bulldoze the real estate agent through this thing. I wasn't listening to her advice. I wasn't listening to what she was saying. I was going to do what I want to do. This is my house. You're not going to tell me what. So for me, I just know from the beginning, I was more like, dismissive of the real estate agent, kind of thinking of them as salespeople, really. Oh, she's trying to get me. Like, maybe they're trying to get me to spend more money. Why didn't I know about this? Like, they're hiding something. That was my first initial contact with the real estate agent. And then, can I just share a story?
Yes, please.
This was a bad transaction, of course. So this is my second home in Virginia that we had bought. And I didn't understand, after even buying my house in, Georgia, like I told you, I didn't even listen to the real estate agent. So I was just, saying like I still didn't understand the process. We talked to the real estate agent. I think we called them on Zillow or something like that. She wanted to meet up at the office and before we go and look at homes. So me and my wife at this time is super pregnant. Like, she's super pregnant with my daughter. We show up to the office. She comes out. We go in there. We're talking to her. Can we sign a buyer brokerage agreement? Now, I don't know if anybody has told you or if you read anything about the changes in how commission is happening. But, buyer brokerage agreement has been around for a long time. I'm saying? This is not a new thing. I just think that the news covers it a different way. Now, there are some subtle differences, which we're not going to talk about in this video, but we signed a buyer brokerage agreement. 6 months, right? Just met her. 6 months. Day one. Signed it. Bang. Let's go look at houses. So she's like, I'll meet you at the car. She's going to ride with me because we had our son and my wife was pregnant. No problem. Well, we're sitting out in the parking lot and waiting. We're waiting. Now, we're on probably one of the busiest streets in Newport News, Virginia. Okay. One of the busiest streets. And we're sitting there waiting. We're waiting. And we're waiting. And it's been like 10 minutes. And I'm like, what is going on? Where's this woman at? So me and my wife are talking. About 5 minutes later, she walks out with no pants on. No pants. Like, I'm like, my mind cannot fathom what is going on. I'm looking out the window. She's walking to the car, and she reminded me of my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? So she's walking out to us with no pants on in the middle of the busiest street in Newport News, and she says, "Hey guys, I hate to tell you this, but I can't go showing houses with you because I spilled coffee on my pants." And I was like, probably could have just called me on the cell phone and told me what was going on. But okay, no problem. We ended up buying a house with her anyway. But, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying that's a common thing, but if it happened to me, I know that there are agents out there that sometimes may not be the greatest in the world. I think, sometimes I think you need to maybe interview a few agents before you decide to snap one up. So that was our Virginia home buying story. Yeah, it was interesting. Very interesting.
I would have been so embarrassed. I would have never been able to talk to you again. But I also don't think I would have made the choice to go out in public without any pants. And so that's what I'm most confused about.
I trust me when I say it. She leaned onto my wife's window with no pants on. My wife was also confused. So it was interesting. It's anecdotal now, obviously. We ended up actually selling that home for a lot of money. So it was great. But yeah, she wasn't, I wouldn't say, the best realtor that I've ever encountered. So, but it's funny. That's why I say, hey, interview your agents. Make sure they know what they're talking about. And that they wear pants.
And they wear pants, you know.
Gotta have pants on.
The basics. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, can't top that lesson, wear pants. But if you were to give advice to another agent, what is maybe one of the biggest lessons you've learned, or what is one of the biggest pieces of advice you would give?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, and this is just a personal thing for me, personal journey. When I was in the military, I was just used to telling people what to do. Go there, do that, do this. You know, like tell people how to do, because obviously I'm in charge and I know what I'm doing. So, you know, I'm telling you to do something. If you do it the way I tell you to do, it's going to be easy. If you try to do something else, you know, it's going to be hard. So I know what I'm doing. So I'm used to telling people what to do. What I've had to learn in real estate is patience is key, right? I can't just, like when I work with military people, so much easier because I can really be that leader to them. And they accept it because that's, you know, that's their job. They're used to that. But when you're speaking with people that are not used to that, I've had to learn a lot of patience and provide options as opposed to telling, because I think what I learned is that, you know, like there's more than one way to skin an onion. There's more than one way to bake a cake. Like you got to be a little bit patient. Some people need a little bit more caring than directing, and that has been literally the biggest lesson I've learned, because I had a hard time breaking that, and a lot of people didn't want to work with me if they weren't military. Typically I meet them one time, we go out, I tell them what's going on. This is what you got to do. This. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do this. All right, I'll see you next time. And I don't see them again because they're not used to being talked to like that. So I've had to learn myself how to do that. And I figured, you know, and this would be my tip to any real estate agent out there. If you want to tell your clients what to do it on YouTube, because, you know what I'm saying, just do it on YouTube. That way, when you send them the video, you're not talking directly to them, but you're still telling them what to do. And I will tell you, the YouTube or anything, I guess, akin to that, I don't know what other platform would be, you know, I guess Instagram, Facebook or whatever. But any kind of platform where you can send people direction, because I think a lot of times that confidence in what you know what you're doing really resonates. Okay, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's giving me all these tips. Like, why would I go with anybody else? Especially if you're giving, you know, the basically free advice. That's going to put you ahead of everybody else. I don't know how many times where I talk to people on the phone, they seem hesitant. I send them these videos, and then they watch them like, oh, great, I want to work with this guy because obviously he knows what he's doing. And then just demystifying, you know, I've tried it. I think by sharing your knowledge, you are taking that salesperson moniker off of you, and you become an advisor, you know, which is, I think, is more like what we really are, more facilitating, advising. I always tell my clients, I'm the GPS. You're the driver. You tell me where you want to go. And if I tell you, if I'm going to make a suggestion, you want to go a different way, I'll just recalculate and we'll go a different way. It's not a big deal. But YouTube, if you want to tell, my goal on YouTube is this. If I could get my clients to watch all my videos, that would be the easiest transaction I would ever have in my life, because they would know everything. They would just come in, hey, there we go, and boom, you know. So, and it would make it easy for them too, because they would understand. So that's I'm hoping that's my goal of what happens with YouTube, is eventually people will watch it and then they understand real estate, and then home buying becomes a snap.
I love it. And like I said before, I just think YouTube is so great for that, because people are hearing it straight from you. They're not reading articles or subreddits that have questionable information. You know, they're not having just like AI generated like overview of the internet given to them, which it's like, maybe we can trust that. You know, it's straight from your mouth and your experience. And I think I think real estate agents should be doing more of that on whichever platform they're most comfortable with, because I do think it establishes your credibility and your willingness to share and things like that, and your knowledge.
Right. No, I think if I was gonna, if there's a new agent coming in, and I think, to be honest with you, I learned a lot by having a YouTube channel, because a lot of times I'm interviewing lenders, I'm interviewing attorneys, and asking them questions. A lot of times, some of them I don't know myself. Just to give an example, I was talking to an insurance agent around here. Both videos I did with him, I learned so much just by listening to him, which gives me the ability to, when I'm walking the streets with my clients, I can give them that same advice because I heard it from the agent myself. So in doing the YouTube, I have learned myself, and which has made me, I think, a better agent.
Yeah, and so much more well-resourced. I love it. So you mentioned some of your YouTube goals. Do you have any other goals for this year that you'd like to share with us?
Well, to be honest, another point of advice I would give is, for an agent, is when I first came in, I was focused on everything. Shiny penny, shiny penny, shiny penny, shiny penny. You got to be on this, you got to be on that, you got to be Facebook every I think it was said 4 times a day, 15 minutes a day. You got to be messaging people, you got to do all this stuff, and then you got to be on Instagram, then you got to be on TikTok, then you got to be on this and that, and it just becomes overwhelming. Especially, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes some of this technology is pretty challenging to kind of maneuver for me, because I'm not so involved in it all the time. I feel like my goal was to simplify my processes, right? To make sure that know how to sell houses, make sure that process is streamlined. Know how to sell houses, make sure that process is streamlined. Lock down the YouTube and make sure you distribute as much as possible. My goal was initially 1,000 subscribers, and by the end of the year, and we surpassed that by almost 5 times now, which was surprising for one, but also amazing for another. But I put a number goal on selling homes to helping 24 families. I'm well on the way to doing that, and hopefully we can increase that. My ultimate goal is to get to where I'm able to have the knowledge and then build a team around helping people. So that's eventually one goal, but that's probably down the road. My goal right now is just to be as proficient at my job as possible and have all my clients be happy. So that's really what I'm shooting for right now.
I think it's a great goal, especially in a world that is always pulling at your attention, right? Simplicity is just like the golden rule anymore.
Right. There's so much. I don't know. I look at my children. I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna make it. There's so many things going on all at once, just constantly, just trying to sit down. I think we watched AGT one night this week, which was I was like, oh my goodness, my kids and my wife and me are all sitting down watching one thing. It's amazing. So simplicity, yes, I definitely feel like is great.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining me today. Would you like to direct people where they can find you, how they can work with you?
Well, basically my YouTube channel, and then if you want to go to my website, all that stuff's on my YouTube channel. I don't have anything prepared right now to give it out. I think it's Patrick I'll have to put that out some of the way. But my YouTube channel is also Patrick Donovan 19, I believe. But I don't have it all memorized. Of course, simplicity. So
it's all good. Well, we'll put all the links in the show note. We got you. You're Patrick Donovan, Realtor Savannah. That's your YouTube.
Thank you. Yeah. Someone told me I should change my name. I'm like, I don't. What would I change it to? I have no idea.
That's too funny. Well, Patrick, thank you so much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Closing Table podcast, brought to you by Window Still. I'm Kat Schooler. Please be sure you're following our podcast on Apple or Spotify, and if you're part of our YouTube audience, hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying this podcast, please feel free to leave us a comment or review. It helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.